All right, let's practice just a little bit more of when I'm given the equation, how do I find the center and the radius? So some of the questions will ask you to actually graph it like we just did. Some will just ask you to identify these two pieces. Or sometimes they want the diameter, which we can also get. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to write an equation when I'm given those two things. And then the last thing I'm going to do is write an equation when I have a graph. All right, so let's talk about the equation here. I've written it at top here. I would strongly encourage you to write that on a note card along with the other formulas from this unit. And then you can use that on your test. So this one here is x minus 5. So since it's supposed to be minus, the h is 5. The k is 1. So there's my center. This 64 represents r squared. So r squared equals 64, so r equals 8. I'm done with that problem. This one is a x plus 7, so my center is going to be negative 7. This is a minus 2, so it's going to be 2. This 324 represents r squared. I'm going to square root both sides, so the radius is 18. They want the diameter, so I'm just going to double that to get 36. Done. On this one, remember if there's nothing with the x, then that is 0. This is a plus 10, so my center is going to be at negative 10. And again, r squared equals 42.25. Square root both sides. My radius then is going to be 6.5. To get the diameter, I take that times 2, which would be 13. Okay, last one. Here's my h is 6. My k is opposite, so negative 11. Okay, my radius squared is going to be 80. When I square root 80, okay, we round that off to the nearest tenth. Sorry, I don't have that one done. We're going to get 8.9. Okay, and that is the radius, so I'm just going to write 8.9. Now, you might want to stop the video for a minute and write these down. I've just written down everything of the formula that will never change, and then we're going to figure out the h and the k and the r squared. Okay, so that's all we're going to do, but it is helpful to write this all down first. So the first one tells me the center is at 5, 3. Okay, so my h and my k are there, so it's a minus 5, minus 3, radius squared. I'm going to take 2 times 2, which is 4. Okay, so it's kind of like the opposite sign in here. So if it gives me a plus, I'm going to put a minus. If it gives me a positive, I'm going to put a minus. If it gives me a negative, I'm going to put a plus. So I'm going to have x plus 1. The 7 is going to be a minus 7. Okay, and then the 14 is the radius. So this number over here, remember, is the radius squared. So 14 times 14 is 196. Done. Minus 2 is going to be plus 2 in my equation, plus 11 in my equation, and the diameter is 18, so that means the radius is 9, and radius squared is 9 times 9, so this would be an 81 right here. Okay, this is probably one of the most common errors, is that you forget that this is r squared. That's why when you write it on your note card, I make special note of that. The center's at 0, we're just going to put minus 0. 9 is going to be a minus 9. Diameter is 32, which makes the radius 16. Not 16 here, but 16 times 16 is 256. Now, you could leave it that way, and I would accept it. Another way of writing this, though, especially if we have the 0, would be x squared, and then everything else remains the same. Okay, so either way, this is probably just a little easier to read. And the last thing here is I want to write the equation from this circle, the graph of it. So first thing we need to do is I'm going to rewrite, just like I did up above. Well, first thing I'm going to do is find out what the center and the radius are. Okay, then I'm going to take that information and I'm going to put it in my formula for the equation. Okay, you can do it however you want. I just kind of like to have it out there, so all I have to do is fill in the H, the K, and the R. So sometimes these are a little tricky. You have to kind of figure out, let's see, where is my center? So you can see it comes out here, goes there. So that's going all the way across. And then this one is the one that's vertical. So my center is right here. Right? So when I look for that, I'm coming, here's my origin. Sorry, the graph is kind of bad. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So my center is at 3, negative 2. Remember, to find the radius, all I have to do is count from that center out to the edge of the circle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you might want to count all directions just to make sure. So the radius is 5. So all I have to do now is take this and put it in place for H, K, and R. So I'm going to go, this is 3, so minus 3, plus 2, and R squared is 25. There's my equation for that circle. Okay, again, everything else stays the same. The only thing I'm putting in is the H, the K, and the R. So same thing on this one. You have to find the center and the radius first. Okay, and on this one, I'm going to go there. See how I'm just going at the edge here, and the edge goes right here. Okay, so there's my center. So that center is at, here's the origin, negative 1, positive 3. If I count out, my radius is 7. So I'm just going to take that information and I'm going to put it in my formula. So the center's at a minus 1, so plus 1, minus 3. The radius squared is going to be 7 times 7, or 49. So that's how we're going to manipulate the equation. We're going to take those equations and find the center and the radius, and then write the equation, or we're going to take the equation and graph it on a coordinate plane. So this is just the beginning of those types of formulas that you'll learn as you go into Algebra 2. If you have any questions, as always, let me know.